Okay. Okay, so bam, I should tell you guys that I'm recording, just a heads up. If you guys want to refresh on any of the material, I'm gonna put it up on YouTube too, and then I'll send it out, the YouTube link to you guys here, and then also the people that didn't make it through as well. All right, so welcome. This is the Nutrition Workshop. Thankful for you guys for jumping along. It should be, like, my presentation here should be roughly anywhere from about 30 minutes or so. After that, we'll go into a Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions or any pertinent information that you want to chime in, just go either save it to the end, but if it's something that's going to slip your mind quickly, just go ahead and unmute yourself and throw your input in, because everyone may have the same question as you too. So it's always good to kind of keep that conversation going, because a lot of people are kind of get a lot of misinformation or kind of get opposite information in regard to a lot of nutrition and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. I went ahead and muted everybody, so if you guys want to talk, just go ahead and unmute yourself. So as far as like introductory, what's up, you guys? Most of you guys know me. I'm Anthony. Been a personal trainer for about 4 years. I am owner of Bloodline. Me and Jerica together own Bloodline Fitness, and we got that going just recently. So we started off with doing care packages, doing a lot of community events, and then COVID happened and we started blooming up and doing online training. So eventually, after all this blows over, we'll be able to have opportunities to see you guys in person and stuff like that. So that would be awesome to see. So as far as what we're gonna go over today, what we're gonna do is go over some basic concepts in nutrition. I say nutrition basically and not dieting, because dieting usually has a negative connotation and restricts and limits people from having available options that they could have. And it kind of puts limitations on their ability to choose for themselves. Nutrition is more of like an umbrella term, and that will provide us with more substance than just a diet. Nutrition helps you understand how to have a healthy relationship with food and be able to provide you with the guidelines that will, in the end, be more sustainable for your health and for your overall longevity. Nutrition, by definition, is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth. And that's much more empowering than dieting, which is restrictive and kind of, you're in a closed box like this. So nutrition has much more freedom and liberty for you to choose for yourself. So kind of going into that, we're going to go into more of a PowerPoint slide a little bit later, but right now I weigh about 180 pounds. I'm 5'7" and 28 years old. What does that have to do with my nutrition and the guidelines that I need? My body is about 60% made of water, 20% of proteins, things like your skin, muscles, enzymes, things that are used for metabolic processes, all considered proteins. 15% are fat, which is cool with me. 15%, not too bad. You got 4% minerals, which are going to be things like sulfur-based, calcium, iron, other type of minerals that help build who you are. And the last 1% remaining is going to be carbohydrates, which your body utilizes as fuel at any given second. Your body at rest utilizes carbohydrates as energy. So that's going to be where it's a small percentage of your overall body composition. So obviously, none of us started at a 180 pound, 5'7", 28-year-old male. But how did we get here? So the food you eat will eventually become a part of you and then used up. So it is a never-ending cycle of what's called as a never-ending cycle of repair and breakdown, which is known as anabolism and catabolism, excuse me. So all the raw materials come from food, and every living organism needs it in order to survive. So where does that leave us? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share our screen real quick and share. So that leaves us here. So I'm gonna go through this presentation. So it's gonna be a few, how do I make this full screen? I could just go like this, right? There we go, play. All right, cool. So this is gonna be, bam, the presentation here is gonna be our workshop where it's gonna be the substance of all of our nutritional guidance here. So what we're gonna go over here, so some of the contents, table contents, what we're gonna go over why should you even care? Why does it matter that you care about your health or have a nutrition plan or anything like that? Then we'll go into like certain basic aspects of nutrition that goes into composition. What is your food made of? Why does it cause certain things to happen within your body? and then and then that's going to follow us into calories. All right, so calories and macronutrients, being able to establish those for yourself, and depending on your goals, get you to your goals, and being able to plug and play with those as you need to, depending on, like, obviously me, 5'7", 180 pounds, male, 28 years old, no current medical conditions or anything like that. So all those play a role into establishing your macros and your calories. That's going to be followed up by goals of sustainability. We'll finish that off with like a demo of a grocery list, followed up by like a how to put it into practice as far as like creating a meal plan and stuff like that. So going forward, what we're going to do is just kind of go off with a slide real quick. So first slide is, why should you even care? All right, so many people just get frustrated when it comes to nutrition. If you Google stuff, you're gonna get contradicting material. So some people say go keto, some people go high carb, high protein, low protein, fat's bad for you, fat's good for you. So all this stuff is super confusing, and it's hard to kind of traverse the terrain if you're in it alone and you don't have any assistance guiding you. Also, that causes a lot of people to get uncomfortable and also get unconfident and fall off the wagon just because they don't have a starting point or have any direction to guide them. So, and also, why should you care? Economically, it causes a lot of demand on the the healthcare system. So yearly, about 190 billion, or roughly 22% of the annual healthcare spending, is used on medical conditions relatively new to the human timeline, that are positively associated with poor dietary habits. Some of these health conditions include heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, gallbladder disease, liver disease, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea, gout, asthma, some variations of cancer, and the list goes on and on. High percentage of body fat, or high body fat percentage, is also correlated with decreased life expectancy, with men having a BMI, which is your body mass index, is a ratio from height to weight. So over 22, which is going to be the number for your BMI, have a 3.7 shorter year life expectancy than healthy individuals in that same range. And for women, if they have a BMI over 27, they have a 2.1 year, or 1 year shorter life expectancy. So although living longer is good, everyone wants to live a little bit longer, but you could die from anything overall. So why should you even care about nutrition? Basically, you eat to live better and not longer. All right, so that's a quote that I want you guys to remember. You eat to live better, have a better quality of life, and not necessarily live longer. All right, because anything can happen and at any given moment. So I want you guys to kind of take that home with you, and there we go. Cool. So going further into this presentation, there's some variables that you want to keep in mind. So regarding to what we're going over today, so with Bloodline Fitness, there's three primary variables that you want to keep in mind. There's going to be nutrition, fitness, and recovery. So fitness in this sense is going to be just your ability to perform daily habits. All right, that's going to comprise about 25% of your overall health. There's going to be recovery, which is going to be things like sleeping, drinking water, foam rolling, eating, supplements, stretching, and stuff like that. That's going to be another 25% of your overall health. And then nutrition is going to take that big circle right there, about 50%, which is going to be your food selection, calories, timing, macronutrients, micronutrients, other things that are relevant for maintenance, growth, and health. And this compromises about 50% of overall health. All right, so that's just kind of like the groundworks of what we're going to get into. So nutrition is obviously a very, very big part of your overall health, not just working out, not just resting and recovering. So nutrition is really one thing that you want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of. Let me go to the next slide. So basically, nutrition is obviously a big player in your overall health. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit. So one thing that people get confused of is what is considered optimal and what is considered not optimal, all right, or less favorable. All right, so what I want you guys to think on this list right here is what's going to be not optimal. So people that live an unhealthy lifestyle often fall into four different categories. They pick from 4 different categories of food. So it's going to be low nutrition food, things like candy, fast food, things that don't have high macronutrients or micronutrients substance to them, and they have a lot of sugar, preservatives, artificial sugars, salts, and other things like that. Obviously, these are just used to increase the palatability of your food, which makes it just taste a lot better, so that you get hooked on it and get right back to that same cycle of eating poor, low nutrient foods. That's going to bring us down to a large portion. So obviously, if your food tastes a lot better, you're going to be more likely to eat larger portions of that food, which will increase your calories and overall body composition. So larger portions are going to be an unhealthy eating habit and also considered not optimal. Irregular eating patterns. So irregular eating patterns are going to be you eat once a day, one day, then the next day you eat 3 times a day. So just your meals are happening infrequently, or you just don't have a set pattern of eating. All right, then the last one is going to be dehydration and unhealthy fluids. So not drinking water, drinking things like sodas, energy drinks, and juices, things that are filled with a lot of sugar, artificial sweeteners, artificial flavorings. These oftentimes lead to dehydration. And like I said earlier, your body's primarily made up about 60% of water, so it's important to maintain your hydration. So these are some common habits that people have that have unhealthy or non-optimal eating patterns. All right, so now you might be asking, what is optimal? Whenever we get into it, so optimal eating habits are going to be things like it's just the opposite, eating nutrient-dense foods, appropriate portion sizes, regular eating patterns, and proper hydration. All right, so going off of that previous list we went, so non-optimal is going to be low nutrient-dense foods, large portions, having irregular eating patterns, dehydration, and unhealthy fluids. So what's optimal? The opposite. So nutrient-dense foods, things that are high in vitamins, minerals, fibers, macronutrients, and that are satiating, so making you fuller. This makes it difficult for you to overeat these kinds of foods and having higher calorie intake. Secondly, appropriate portion sizes. So obviously going back to the satiety of it, the food takes a little bit more energy for your body to process, so you won't get necessarily as full as you'll get fuller faster and have more satiety. So eating appropriate portion sizes is going to be a little bit easier if you choose healthier choices. Regular eating patterns is going to be the next one. So having a regular set schedule, whether you want to do fast or like intermittent fasting, 3 squared meals, 5 squared meals, whatever you decide to do, just be consistent. That's going to be a big player. And then proper hydration. All right, so you want to ensure that you're drinking adequate amounts of water. This also helps assist with digestive health and proper cellular health. All right, so this is going to go on to the next section, which is going to be composition. Back one. There we go. I'm actually going to go like this. Bam. And I can see people. There we go. Cool. All right. Cool. So I just made my screen so I can see people too. All right. So when we go into composition, this is basically just what makes up your food. All right. So food, whenever you ingest them, they cause a certain response within your body. And then on the microscopic level, when you see a banana or an orange and a potato, they look extremely different, or they're created by certain micronutrients or macronutrients. So they have different structures within them that cause different responses. So if you eat something like wheat bread as opposed to a bag of sugar, you're going to have 2 very different responses. But why is that? So food composition, I'm going to break it down into 2 separate categories, which are going to be macronutrients and micronutrients. All right, so macronutrients are much bigger, what's the right word? Molecules as opposed to micronutrients. So these will be the big 3. So it's going to be protein, carbohydrates, and fats. All right, so whenever you get into protein, it's important to know that every gram of protein is going to be 4 calories. So 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. And proteins are responsible for basically cellular restoration, which is going to be creating more skeletal muscle. And they're known as a thermogenic food, which will cause your body to basically kick up its metabolism while it's digesting. So you're going to be actually burning a little bit more of overall calories when ingesting a little bit higher quality proteins. Carbohydrates is going to be another macronutrient. So this is number 2 of 3. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. These are things that are going to be like in breads, pastas, rice, all those things, you know. So carbohydrates over the years have been demonized in a way, but they should be appreciated. Aside from providing your body with fibers, generally they're converted into glucose, which provides you with energy, helps you with cognitive acuity, and are necessary for cellular function. Fats on the other hand, so we had proteins and carbs, which both have 4 calories per gram. Then once we get into fats, they're going to have 9 calories per gram. So 9 calories is going to be a big jump from that 4 in carbs and proteins. That's why oftentimes when you see nutrition plans, the calories are going to be a little bit lower as opposed to the carbs and proteins, just because the calorie requirements are going to be a little bit higher. So fats come from things like monounsaturated fats, or come in the form of monounsaturated fats, trans fats. But there's a consensus that says trans fats are detrimental to your health, so I'd avoid those. But fats are very important. They're important for a lot of mineral absorption. So there are things called, there are vitamins and minerals that are, I forgot the right word, but they need fats in order to be assimilated. So, and also fats are important for brain and hormonal function too. So you don't want to discount fats just because they have the word fat in it. Fats are good for you, whether it's coming from omega-3 fatty acids, which are in fish, or polyunsaturated fats that are going to be found in things like olive oil and stuff like that. So there's many different forms. All of them have their place, but right now we're just trying to keep things plain and simple. I'm talking a lot. Sorry, I don't like to talk a lot, but we're almost through it. All right, so following up the second portion of composition, so we have those macronutrients, which are the bigger molecules, so things like fats, carbs, and proteins. Those get broken down into what are called smaller substrates or micronutrients, things like vitamins, fibers, minerals, and amino acids. All of these are super important, but work on a very, very small level. So things like vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and K, fat-soluble vitamins, that's what it's called. But so vitamin A, vitamin B, these are all essential for whether it goes from anything from energy production, bone density, they go all the way from eye health and things like that. So vitamins play an important role in your overall health. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind whenever creating nutrition plans as well. Fiber is something important too. So fiber is found in a lot of whole grains, things like breads. They're going to be considered a low glycemic food. So things like beans, lentils. So high fiber foods have a low glycemic load, which is important for managing your blood sugar levels. Fiber also helps out with gut health. So helps feed things like probiotics within your small intestine to help them proliferate and make sure you have overall good immune health. So a low glycemic load in fiber just means it helps regulate your blood sugar. So that's going to be that right there. So following through, minerals, again, similar to vitamins, just have different roles to play within the body. Common minerals are going to be things like magnesium, boron, zinc, potassium, sodium, lithium, selenium, calcium, and many others. These are found in very different kinds of foods. They have many different roles, and there's too much to go over on here. But the main ones you kind of want to just see the most familiar ones. Things like magnesium are going to be good for you. Things like zinc help with immune health. Calcium, good for bone health, and other things like that. Lastly, what we're going to finish off with these micronutrients are going to be called amino acids. I apologize if I'm going way too fast. I'm just a little nervous. I'm sweating a little bit, but amino acids are going to be right down here. So there are going to be substrates of proteins. There are going to be 21 different kinds of amino acids. 9 are going to be what are known as essential amino acids, meaning your body doesn't make them by themselves. So you have to get them from varying kinds of proteins. So things that are kind of things like chicken, beef, soy, tempeh, turkey, other kind of having a variation of proteins guarantees that you have those 9 essential amino acids that is essential for protein synthesis and muscle recovery. If you're missing out on just one amino acid, your body doesn't, or the protein synthesis can't be completed. So the protein molecules are made up of all 21 different types of amino acids. So if it's missing one link, that whole protein molecule gets wasted. So it's good to kind of make sure you have all the realm of amino acids inside your diet. Cool, we're almost done. All right, so calories and macros. All right, so calories, this is gonna be the thicket. This is the #1 most important thing that you can do for your nutritional needs. So calories are basically gonna be units of energy that pretty much help you function in any way, shape, or form. So whether it's going from waking up, rolling your eyes, thinking, any essential need that utilizes energy, which is pretty much everything, needs calories. All right, so what we're gonna go over here is being able how to determine your calorie and macronutrient requirements and deciding these two for yourself and make sure that you have a successful nutrition plan. All right, so it's important to know all the stuff before this, but if you don't have the calories under control, then you're gonna be fighting an uphill battle, because oftentimes people find that they're either under eating or overeating calories, which can cause negative effects as far as like body fat composition, overall metabolic damage and things like that. So things that you need to be aware of whenever calculating your calories, the first step is going to be what's known as your BMR, or your basal metabolic rate. So this is going to be basically what is used to, or this is a measurement used to know how much calories you just burn on a daily basis. All right, if you're just laying in bed, how many calories is your body burning at rest? That's going to be your BMR. All right, so that's going to be your basal metabolic rate. That's going to be a very important important concept to understand whenever you're calculating what your calorie needs are. So basal metabolic rate, that's going to be BMR for short. On the slides, if you see the bolded letters, that means it's pretty important. So if you guys were taking notes, then I'd probably take notes on the bold letters. I'm also going to email this slideshow to everybody too. So if you don't have a pen and pencil, just refresh back on the PowerPoint too. So basal metabolic rate, your body's resting rate of calorie burn. The next two important things to know are going to be your exercise activity, which is going to be EA. So EA, like EA Sports, exercise activity. #2 is going to be non-exercise activity, which is known as NEA. So exercise activity is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be how many calories you burn within your exercise. #2, non-exercise activity, is going to be the energy that you use to move, do daily tasks, work, change the kids, chase the kids, and stuff like that. Things that won't be considered exercise. Those are going to be the 3 primary components you want to understand when calculating your overall calorie burn throughout the day. So basal metabolic rate, exercise activity, and non-exercise activity. All right, so once you calculated all 3 of these, you'll have what's known as your total daily energy expenditure, which is going to be your TDEE. So total daily energy expenditure is going to be your total calorie burn, and that's going to be your maintenance level of calories. All right, so that's going to be your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, is going to be your maintenance level, which will mean you won't go up in weight, but you won't go down in weight either. So it's that little sweet spot where you'll be able to maintain. And this is affected by your gender, your age, height, weight, body fat percentage, and things like that. So TDEE is very important to calculate. If you look down about 3/4 of the way down on the screen, it's going to be BMR plus NEA plus EA equals your TDEE. All right, so the easiest way to calculate this and give you a good guideline to base off of is going to go online and type in total daily energy expenditure calculator. All right, so you'll input all your information on there, and it'll give you, based on a calculation called I think it's called St. Jorel calculation, something like that. It'll give you your estimated daily requirements for just maintaining. So just talking about that a lot because it's fairly important when establishing your nutrition plan. So these are your 3 categories that you'll fall into when you're trying to plan for your goal or your nutrition plan. All right, so the 3 are going to be a calorie surplus, a calorie deficit, and your calorie maintenance. All right, so a surplus is just going to be your total daily energy expenditure plus 500 calories. All right, so that's going to be a surplus. That's going to be means you're taking in more energy than you're expending. All right, a deficit is going to be consuming 500 calories under your TDE, your total daily energy expenditure. So you will get your daily expenditure and subtract that by 500 calories, and that will get you into your deficit zone, which is going to be primary zone you want to be for weight loss. All right, surplus is going to be for weight gain, muscle gain, and things like that. Deficit is for losing weight. Basically that's it. Losing weight. Maintenance is just going to be consuming at your total daily energy expenditure. So it's going to be at that even line where you're not gaining, but you're not losing. You're just maintaining, and that's usually a happy place for a lot of people. So your body has a certain set point that it likes to be on. So oftentimes you'll see a lot of people, they lose weight and then they gain it back just because their set point's a little bit higher than what their body weight is currently at. But we'll get that a little bit later. So establishing your macros, all right? So once you have your calories established, you have laid the groundwork for your macros to be established. All right, so for example, if I wanted to eat 1,800 calories, or if 1,800 calories was my personal deficit, so my calorie intake minus 500 will get me my deficit. I'll just have to be like, okay, 1,800, that's gonna be cool. So for general overall health, your macronutrients are gonna be your fats, proteins, and carbs. For general health, for proteins, you wanna eat about 0.3 grams per body pound or per pound of body weight. All right, that's just gonna be for general health. You don't have any necessarily goals, you're not working out, you're not doing all this stuff, you're just kind of maintaining and living. 0.3 grams per pound of body weight. All right, so now on the flip side, for us people that like to exercise and want to gain a little bit of muscle and tone, they want to lose weight, to increase muscle mass and increase overall metabolism, you want to have your protein requirements be 0.6 grams to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And this varies depending on gender, age, and things like that. And also like kidney health and stuff, but that's too far to thicket, but basically age and all that stuff. Carbohydrates, for general rule of thumb, for minimum requirements is gonna be 0.3 grams per pound of body weight. To increase muscle mass, anywhere from 1 gram to 2 grams per pound of body weight. And then for sports performance, usually around 1.5 grams per pound. All right, so as far as like wanting to lose weight and performance and stuff like that, you could play with your carbohydrates. Everyone's gonna be a little bit different with how they respond. I generally respond fairly well to lower carbohydrate intake, so that works for me. For other people, they have, like someone like Michael Phelps, they have to eat like 700 grams of carbs in a day just because they're so hyperactive. They're doing so much to burn so many calories throughout the day. They need that to hit their minimum requirements. There's a lot of individual variance when it comes to this, but just kind of playing with your food and finding what works best for you is going to be the best thing. Fats. So fats, for general rule of thumb, is going to be about 3 grams per pound of body weight. Just remember, every gram of fat is going to be 9 calories total. All right, so that's going to be about 40% of your total calorie intake is going to be fats, just because it's going to have that higher calorie per gram. All right, so that's going to go ahead and drop us down to goals and sustainabilities. All right, this is going to be a key note to kind of take us throughout life, is just being able to maintain and develop goals and also be sustainable, because you don't want to be a flash in the frying pan and have one good go and then quit the rest of the time. You want to make sure that the progress you make is sustainable, and also that you establish some goals as well. All right, so this is a common story that is heard all over the place. It was actually from a study on weight loss found on NCBI. The PhDs are down there at the bottom, Kevin Hall and Scott Kahn. This is just a story that they went over. So this is a common theme. So Robert is a 47-year-old patient who initially weighed 270 pounds. He lost 85 pounds 3 years ago by carefully following your guidance and decreased his calorie intake to 1,500 calories per day and exercise 6 days weekly. Today he comes in for his annual physical examination. You were excited to hear about his continued progress and see how much he lost, but you but you felt immediately dejected to see that he regained almost 60 pounds since the last time you saw him. He says to you, I don't know what to do. The weight keeps coming back on. I keep trying, and there must be something wrong. I'm sure my metabolism is in the dumps. It feels like every moment of the day I can't help but think about food. It was never like this before I lost the weight, and now no matter what, how hard I try to stop eating after one serving, I just can't seem to do it anymore. Feeling defeated, he says, I don't even know what's the point of doing this anymore. So frustrated, you remind him that he was able to do it just fine when he was losing the weight initially, but he just needs to keep working hard at it. And it continues like that. So the story continues. Substantial weight loss is possible across a range of treatment modalities, but in long-term sustenance of lost weight is much more challenging, and weight regain is typical. In a meta-analysis of meta-analysis is just a bunch of epidemiological studies that are kind of could join into one. So a bunch of different studies, 29 long-term weight loss studies, more than half of the lost weight was regained in 2 years. And by 5 years, over 80% of the lost weight was regained. Indeed, previous failed attempts at achieving durable weight loss may have contributed to the recent decrease in the percentage of people with obesity who are trying to lose weight. So I think that's important to understand too. So in that study, 29 long-term weight loss studies, more than half of the people that lost weight regained that same amount of weight back in 2 years. And by 5 years, 80% of the people regained all that weight back. All right, so that's a common trait that's found even in the research studies. So it's very common amongst everybody that's trying to make a healthier lifestyle fit their lifestyle, in a sense. I think it generally comes from a lack of knowledge and know-how to do it themselves, but also it comes from a relationship with food and not having sustainable goals. All right, so in this section here, we're almost done. So in this section here, so I like to break up, so this section here will be going over our goals. I like to break it up into 3 sections. So it's going to be your immediate goals, what's going to get you through the week, what's going to get you through the month. So things that you're striving for and you're going to achieve within 1 to 4 weeks. So these goals are just constant motivation to get you going, and these will help you stay motivated throughout the duration of your journey. So things like, I want to lose 8 pounds this month, or I want to exercise 3 times this week. Those are going to be immediate goals or micro goals. So it's good to establish those weekly or monthly. Secondly is going to be intermediate goals. So these are going to be pushed out a little bit farther. So it's going to be about a goal that's going to be established for 1 to 6 months. So this window is relatively large, but it's necessary, and depending on your goal, your intermediate goal is going to be larger than the immediate goal, obviously. So let's say, for example, on your immediate goal, I want to lose 8 pounds this month, but my intermediate goal is going to be 25 pounds overall. So that's going to be about a 4-month goal or 6-month goal. All right, you just got to do those small immediate goals to kind of build your way up to those intermediate goals. All right, long-term goals are going to be goals that are established within a 6 to 12-month time frame. These goals are life-changing and are necessary and can be a metamorphosis to becoming the best version of yourself. It is what you envision for yourself in the long run. A long-term goal is a result of your adherence to your immediate and intermediate goals. Your long-term goals develop discipline, courage, self-confidence, strength, and self-development. This is a result of all the battles that you've won and lost. An example of these goals maybe I will do a marathon. So marathon usually takes a lot of time to prep up for, all right? Or I will get off all my medication, all right? So there's a wide range of long-term goals, and everyone has their own reason in venturing out on a nutrition plan or living a healthier lifestyle, all right? So just let those goals kind of drive you and continue moving forward, all right? So sustainability, whether you're aiming to be stronger, leaner, lose weight, be healthier, happier, perform better, you need to have a plan that adheres to your lifestyle and that is sustainable. It doesn't make sense if you work 12 hours a day and then you work out for 3 hours at night and then continue that battle over and over again. That's not sustainable. You're going to burn out fairly quickly, but you should establish a game plan or a schedule that's going to adhere to your time. All right. So you should your health should work for you. You shouldn't work for your health. That's one thing you want to keep in mind. So just make sure that it adheres to your lifestyle and is sustainable. There is no one size fits all approach when it comes to nutrition. The best meal plan is the easiest one to stick to and the one that works best for you. All right. So if you hate the food that's on your meal plan, then it's going to be hard to stick to it. But if you enjoy the food and you know, and you have the knowledge of nutrition and you have the knowledge that, hey, this is making me better, this is getting me to my long-term goal, this is going to help sustain me for life, then it's going to be a little bit easier to adhere to your nutrition plan. All right. Whether you decide to do keto, whether you decide keto is the best, then go for it. High carb works for you, go for it. Here we will discover and establish and design a plan that will work for you, not the other way around. You're in it for life and should be treated as such. All right, so those are some of the goals and reasoning why you want to make it sustainable, in some ways to make it sustainable. So this is just a mock grocery list. So things you want to see in your grocery list, I often say you want to shop on the outside of the store, because on the inside of the store, it's all colorful and things you don't need. So lean meats. So in proteins, lean meats, whole food or whole eggs, pretty much you want to eat whole foods. All right, so fish, dairy, chicken, beef, soy, tempeh, those are good sources of proteins. Obviously, everyone has different limitations or things they can't eat because of allergies or dietary choices like veganism or vegetarianism. So you want to respect that too. Carbohydrates, so things like fruits, vegetables, sweet potatoes, rice, whole grains, oats, quinoa, beans. These are packed full of things like fiber, micronutrients like minerals, vitamins, and things like that will help sustain your body in the long run. And also they don't have a high glycemic load. Fats, things like avocados, nuts, seeds, oils, coconut oils, grass-fed butters, chia seeds, and flax seeds are also good sources. They're full of omega fatty acids. They're full of a different kind of little things that will be helpful for your cellular health and your hormonal health as well. So that's going to be a mock grocery list, and then kind of putting things together. So this is an example of a meal plan. It's based on someone that's eating in a calorie deficit, that's eating 1,800 calories a day. They weigh roughly 180 pounds. So this is going to be the requirements. I have their goal is going to be gaining muscle, losing a little bit of weight, and getting toned. So basically kind of like a stereotypical goal set. So their calories are going to be 1,800. So basically what you want to do is establish your protein. So he's going to eat, is male, 180 pounds. This is going to be me basically. So 180 grams, so 1 gram per pound of body weight. That'll ensure that I'm eating enough protein to maintain my muscle mass and also increase lean muscle mass. Carbohydrates, I generally lean towards lower carbohydrate load. So about 500 calories of my total calorie intake is going to be from carbohydrates. Fats is going to be 65 grams. If you see on the right-hand side, it has the calorie total. So it's going to be 65 grams at 585 calories and so on and so forth. So basically establish your calories, then work backwards. So establish like your protein requirements, carb requirements, fat requirements, and then plug it all in, and that will get you your goal. So from there, all you want to do is be able to divide that up depending on your schedule. So for me, what's easiest is going to do 3 squared meals and have a snack throughout the day. Usually my snack is going to be a protein shake. So if you kind of go through one meal at a time, there's a rough average. So my meals range anywhere from about 400 to 500 calories at a time. And then with that shake as well. Maintaining proper hydration. So about 1 gallon of water a day, depending on your electrolyte levels, things like that. You may want to either back off or increase the water load, and some optional supplements too. So vitamin D3 is always really good. In the summertime, it's not really too necessary because the sun is out, but during the wintertime, it's really good for your immune health and overall health. Probiotics, just good for digestive and gut health, and the fish oils, you get a lot of omega-3s because I have a hard time eating fish, so I take a supplementary fish oil. But going through the meal plan, so meal 1, it's broken up into total calories for that meal, your protein requirements, which is going to be 39 grams, your carbohydrate requirements, 27 grams, 15 grams. So you're going to kind of try to break it down between each meal. So I'll eat 3 whole eggs, 3/4 egg whites, 1 slice of bread or a 1/2 cup of white rice, And then obviously you can make a little veggie omelet out of it. Basically, a lot of this stuff is just going to be plug and go. Yeah, cool beans, yo. All right, cool. I'm done talking. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen on that. Thank you guys for putting up with my talking. But I went a little longer than I thought it would be, but that's fine. So now I'm gonna open up the floor. Woo, cool, I'm done. So anybody have any questions or want me to go over any of the things we went over? Sorry, I spoke pretty fast. Again, I'm not like Susie, she's a great teacher, so maybe I could take some notes on that. Any questions from anybody? And then also I'm gonna email that presentation to you guys too.
I have a question, Anthony. It's me, Melissa.
Oh, hey. Okay, I was wondering who. Okay, what's up, Melissa?
It's your sister-in-law. I came in a little late, so maybe you kind of went over this, and I'm not sure. But like for somebody like in my situation where I'm trying to lose weight, but at the same time I kind of have an iron deficiency, is it really wise for me to do more like of the red meats and stuff like that in keto, or should I just stay more like the fish and chicken?
So, oh yeah, that's something too. I'm not a medical doctor. So all of this is going to be not medical advice. So that's
yeah, for sure.
Disclaimer. Trying to get this in like a responsible way. So depending on any kind of underlying health conditions you may have, I'd recommend eating things that are going to be a little bit higher in iron. That's going to be common in a lot of women, is going to be low iron. So introducing things like red meats or any kind of, is it not recorded? Oh, it's recorded. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So beans. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, eating higher iron foods would probably be helpful. I think generally doctors recommend taking some sort of supplement that'll help with iron intake. Also, taking foods that are high in vitamin C would help too. Vitamin C is necessary for iron assimilation. So vitamin C, things you could just supplement with it, or drink or eat citrus type foods that'll help with iron assimilation too. But yeah, I'd probably recommend just increasing your iron intake. Sorry if that was like off the wall.
No, yeah, for sure. That's helpful.
Cool. All right. That's a great question. Awesome question. Anybody else?
Oops.
Oh, dang. All right, cool. All right, so no one has questions?
I have a question.
All right, cool.
Anthony?
Wait, I don't know who's asking. All right, yeah. What's up, Susie? I think.
So when you go into the online calculator to try and do your macros and stuff, it says body fat optional. So like, who has a caliper to measure that?
Yeah, I know.
Well, maybe Byron does, huh?
It'll still give you, even without the body fat percentage, it'll still.
Yeah, it still will.
A good estimate.
Yeah.
Okay. But best bet is to subtract a little bit if you tend to have a little bit higher body fat. So I'd probably drop that down a little bit because it's giving you more of like a baseline amount. But yeah, that's probably what I would recommend, because obviously no one has calipers, no one has the little bowel measure. So
I think Byron does.
Does he? Oh, cool.
I don't know. Maybe I'll ask him.
Yeah,
Susie,
what's it a little bit different.
Susie, you can, there's a graphic online. If you just type in body fat, like a visual graphic that will show you based off of what your body looks like, what your estimated percentage would be.
Okay.
It's like a graphic that you can go and look up.
Oh, tight. Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay.
That's really helpful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
It'll help you kind of give you a better idea of where you should be. So that's a good idea, Angel. That's really good. Cool. Any other questions? From the side.
I do.
Rochelle, what's up?
So, for like when your body goes into like plateaus, like stuck mode, what is it that you should be tweaking? Should it be your calories? Should it be your exercise? Like what happens then?
So there's a lot of individual variance that goes with that too. Some things that I see a lot of people getting into is they stay in a deficit for too long. That's one thing. So that could cause your metabolism actually to slow. Metabolism is a large term, but we'll just say for your calorie burn to slow down, or your TDE, your total daily energy expenditure, to slow down. So you may be actually eating well under your maintenance level for too long, and that causes things to slow up a little bit. So one thing, surprisingly, what may help is what's called reverse dieting. So actually going into a temporary time of a surplus, so like a week or two of eating within a surplus, and then bringing it back down. So that will kind of help you self-regulate yourself. Help you regulate yourself. I don't know the right way. Help you regulate yourself to find where your new balance is going to be. Because if you're in like a calorie deficit, let's say for like a year, 2 years, or however long, that's going to cause a little bit of backtracking. So you have to kind of reverse diet it a little bit. But that doesn't mean just eat like cotton candy and stuff, but just do it appropriately.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Reverse like back to junk food, or reverse like more healthy food?
Yeah, just like let's say for example you had like a 1,500 calorie recommendation. You stuck at that for like 3 months. You hit a brick wall and you're trying to push through it for another month, and nothing happens. Try introducing more food for about 2 weeks, so about like 2,000 calories, and then you may gain a little bit of weight back. That's fine, because it comes and goes. Then cut back to 1,800. All right, I'm still gaining a little bit of weight. All right, cut back to 1,600. All right, I'm remaining, and then cut back to 1,500 again, and then you may drop a little bit. Also could be just like your activity level too. But those are little ways to play with it as well.
Thank you.
That side. Cool. Anybody else?
I do.
What's up?
Hi. So I noticed like I try to be good about following like the meal plan that you gave us on our last challenge and stuff, but I noticed that even sometimes after I ate, within probably like 10 minutes, I felt hungry again, or I was hungry even more often. So is there a way to like change that, or am I not eating enough, or like what? I don't know what the deal is.
You were fairly active before that, right? Like before you entered the challenge or anything, or?
A little bit, but I was more like once I started the challenge.
Okay. So, blah, blah, blah. All right, a little bit of reason why you may get a little bit hungrier being on a challenge is if your workload increases. Say for example, you're walking more at work, you're working out a little bit more or something like that. Just your body is kind of in a stage where it needs more sustenance in order to rebuild and maintain, or it's just you kind of are transitioning from having a higher calorie intake at a certain point in time and then switching over to a lower calorie intake. So there's a little bit of adjustment period that's needed. So some of that temptation or that hunger pangs or stuff like that, that's why I kind of put a little bit extra fiber on the diet too, like beans and lentils and stuff like that. That tends to help with satiety, because I know a lot of people get like hunger pains and stuff like that from being on a more lower calorie nutrition plan. And also, dehydration is also responsible for any kind of hunger as well. So if you're poorly hydrated or not drinking the proper hydration, then that's going to cause a little bit of hunger too. Also, if you're if you went from eating like a lot of sugar and stuff or like fried foods, then that causes a lot of hunger pains as well. Not saying you did, but just in general.
I mean, it's highly possible, but okay, that makes sense.
That's an awesome question. A lot of people kind of fall into that temptation mainly because their tummy's talking to them. So that's like important to kind of understand too.
I noticed for me, like if I did ever feel that way, I would try to either drink more water or I would drink like a sparkling water just to kind of be like, okay, hey, no, I don't need anything. And it would subside sometimes, but then other times, I was still hungry, and then I would force myself to wait that little bit of time and be like, okay, hey, I can eat it now after like that hour or whatever.
Yeah, starving like Marvin. I get like that pretty frequently, especially whenever I have like a harder workout or something like I say, for example, I would train legs or something that has a lot of demand on my body. My calorie burn is going to be pretty high for that day. So if I know I'm be training a little bit harder, then I'm going to expect to have to eat a little bit more too. I think we talked about that before. I kind of average out your weekly calories, but let's say, for example, you hammered it really hard. You did like, I don't know, something crazy like marathon. Then your calorie needs are going to be super high to kind of help your body repair and recover from that activity. But if you're just doing not as active, then it's not necessary to really eat more. It's kind of more of like a little bit of mind game sometimes. Like if you get kind of bored and just snack on chips and stuff, it's easy. I was doing that last night. Snack on chips, it's easy to kind of overeat at that point. It's kind of like kind of like a little bit of mind games on it. But sometimes it's just kind of overcoming those inner battles.
Okay, makes sense.
I don't know if that helps.
When you do that,
It definitely does.
All right, cool.
when you do get hungry, can you snack on like cucumber and things like that? Like, if
Oh, yeah, super good. Great. That's great. Things that are low calorie, but kind of that kind of satisfy that kind of crunchy or sweetness taste and stuff that'll help out too. Awesome, Jared. Thank you.
Would you say,
I would.
sorry, the days that like you work your lower half of your body,
Mhm.
would it be okay to switch up? Like if you're trying, like my case, that I want to lose weight, if I usually work legs, I burn more. Would it be okay to eat more calories that day and less when I do upper body, or stay in that deficit no matter what type of exercise?
Yeah, it kind of just depends on your goal. If you're wanting to lose weight, then eating in a deficit is probably going to be helpful. But if you want to get a little bit stronger, if you want to gain a little bit of weight and stuff, then eating over that surplus, or eating that surplus would probably be helpful. But it comes with a few asterisks on there. So just depending on what workload you did. Like if you did a standard workout, then stay in the deficit. But if you did a little bit more intense workout, then you need a little bit more to kind of recover. Things like eating additional protein and stuff like that too. Maybe a little extra carbs.
Anthony.
Hi.
Hi. So one of the things that I did was I would drink the bone broth. And it would
Awesome. I love bone broth. I have some oxtail in my freezer that's been in there. I used to make it, but I haven't made it in so forever.
But like if I was like starving like that from working out, that's what I would do. I just warm up a cup of that and then just drink it, and it totally was satisfying, but it wasn't too many calories.
Yeah. Oh, super awesome. And then plus you get all those added benefits too, like the glucosamine, all the gelatin and stuff like that in the bone broth. So bone broth, great alternative. That's super good. Yeah. I haven't drank it in forever, but it's super good.
I have a question. When you say be active, do you mean like go for walks, or is it like, so does it depend on, like, for example, me, that I'm really active and like, you know, I work out like compared to someone who maybe hasn't been working out and starts, would you expect that also has a huge impact on, like, as far as what our calories our intake is? Like, for example, if I only walk 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, but I want to drop weight, how would I still just do it 500 calories? Like, for example, somebody was the same size as me and they wanted to drop weight, but they're not as active. Is it still the same thing?
So they're if they go from inactive to active, their calorie requirements would probably be that deficit. So saying that goes back into body composition, which would be your body fat percentage and stuff. That's where it's going to affect a little bit, because someone that has a little bit higher body fat is going to have more liberty to kind of eat outside of the regiment as opposed to someone that has higher body fat percentage, then they're going to have to kind of be more strict to that deficit. But since they're inactive, their calorie requirements are going to be lower than someone that has been active. So if someone's like 5'1", 130 pounds, and then two people are that same weight and height, obviously they're going to look a little bit different. People carry their weights a little bit differently, have higher body fat percentages and stuff. So the person that's inactive, their calorie requirements are going to be lower than the person that is active. So you got to kind of find where that gap is. Did that help? Cool beans. All right. Anybody else?
Bye. It's time.
It is time. All right. So if you guys have any other questions, please email or message me. I'd love to kind of get into it. I wish I would have made this longer. I didn't think I'd talk for so long. But hey, it was I don't know if you guys care if I talk or not, but it's all going to be recorded. It's going to be on YouTube. So I'm going to email it to you. Also, I'm going to email the presentation to you too as well. So you have that for your records. And then the workout is going to be over on the, I put the link on the Facebook page, and then I'm pretty sure I emailed it to everyone. I'm not 100% sure. But if not, just go on the Facebooks. But yeah, no, it's a lot to go through, and yeah, cool. All right, yeah, all right, cool, everybody. Thank you.
Good job.
I don't know how to end things. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. Thank you for coming along. Go do the workout. See you in a minute. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.